All right. Hello, everyone. Today, we're honored to welcome Anthony Vennare to the show. Anthony is the co-founder of Fitt Insider, a platform at the forefront of the health and wellness industry, inspiring both investors and entrepreneurs, while also offering valuable insights for anyone interested in enhancing their wellness. Alongside his brother, Anthony is on a mission to enhance health and happiness by supporting the people, products, and ideas shaping the future of well-being. What began as a newsletter has evolved into FitCo, a powerful ecosystem spanning media, recruiting, consulting, and investing, with standout platforms like Fitt Insider, Wellworthy, and Fit Capital. Anthony's work is driving innovation, insight, and meaningful impact across the wellness economy, and we're excited to dive into his journey and perspective today. So thank you, Anthony, for joining us. So we gave a brief intro, but we'd love to hear from you directly. So to kick things off, our first question for you is who are you, what do you do, and why do you do what you do?
Yeah, no, I appreciate you guys having me. I'm Anthony Vennare. I'm one of the founders of Fit and Fit Insider, and my brother and I are creators in the health and wellness space and more on the business side. So we um, operate a holding company that does a number of things. We have different services like recruiting and consulting and investing, as well as what most people know us for, which is Fit Insider, which is the media property. So we spent time in the health and wellness space, owning gyms, owning different businesses, and we took all that experience and kind of rolled it up into what we think of as like a modern day media company. So most media is very ad driven and it's about clicks and eyeballs and selling ads and banner ads and things like that. We don't do that. So our property Fit is really focused on news and insights and data for the health and wellness industry broadly, and really just focused on creating good content for founders, investors, entrepreneurs, people working in the space.
Is there a why for what you do, what you do?
Yeah, like I said, we've always been in the space, owning gyms, building different businesses, and it was always how do we take the concept of health and wellness and fitness and make it more available. And now our goal is to empower the founders and the investors and the builders to create more businesses, build more products, which and then helps more and more people. So it's really just kind of fueling the industry and driving the industry forward with news and insights and data and making it more investable, making it something that people want to build in, showing people that this is a space that it's pretty obvious now that there's money to be made and there's cool businesses to be created. But when we first started, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, it was not as kind of prevalent as it is today.
I think hearing your intro and like where you're getting involved with like Fit Insider, Fit Capital, Wellworthy, you're kind of getting involved in like a bunch of different spaces. You kind of just like take that first step. And I think that it's something like I admire about what you and your brother have done. Like, how do you like push through like the initial like fear if you have any or like self-doubt that can come with like starting something new and like what helped you take those like leaps, especially like early on as you kind of started building like the gym and then kind of expanding from there.
Yeah, we got started kind of out of necessity. It was needed to make money. Everything was always building, growing, learning as we go. I didn't have experience or mentors or anyone helping us. We just do it, figure it out, move on to the next thing. So for the past 15 years, that's what we did. So there was never a point that it wasn't after that initial start. It was always, well, we could do anything.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think that's so cool, especially like you mentioned it was like you had family things going on and you're kind of like put in a situation where it's a necessity to kind of make money. And I think like a lot of people in that situation would just kind of fall back to, okay, I just need to get a job to get a job to make money. But you chose to do something that you love and like with making that choice, it's kind of just expanded down to all these different areas and you guys have succeeded in so many ways. So I think that's really cool. And I think that's like just such a your story is just like such an impressive like entrepreneurial story. And I was just like curious, is there like specific things about you and your brother that you think make you such a good entrepreneur, or are there things that you've learned that's helped you through that journey?
We've definitely had a lot of stuff fail over the years. There's been a ton of businesses we've made. And I think from the why it works side was really just doing it. I didn't, like I said, I wasn't good in school. I didn't go to college. There wasn't many other options out there. And it was always the method of like, I would see somebody do it. And if it wasn't specialized, like if you have to be a doctor or a lawyer, or you have to go get certain things to be a certain, to work in a certain area, I understand like you need those specialized things. But outside of that, it was always a level of like, well, if they can do it, I can do it. And that was really it. And it was just figuring it out. And I think it was partly survival, had to do it for the circumstance for a long time, coming from where we came from and not having access to money or connections or things. It was just you got to build it and figure it out. And then the other part was just always thinking that we would just outwork everybody. So that was really it. It was out of survival and just outworking people. And then as soon as I got traction in any area, just finding really talented people to join me in the process of what we're building.
I love that. I think that's such a good way to put it. And I think it's like what I hear, it's like you have the confidence in yourself to take that first step and kind of do what you're passionate about doing it or what you see a vision or like see your vision come to life. But then it's also knowing who you are as an individual and your own skills, and then identifying the people around you who can help like augment your own skills and help you succeed as like as a team. So, and I feel like that's how it goes with like most entrepreneurs. It's like knowing who you are and having the confidence to do it, but then also knowing where your skills fall short and having the people around you who can help kind of pick it up from there. So also just like going into philosophy side that Maggie mentioned is what is like your wellness philosophy, or how would you define wellness in your own words?
This stems back to just the gym days when we were just training, you know, normal people out in our first location outside of Pittsburgh. And it was very, I think this term might upset a lot of people or isn't like, one that people think about nowadays, but originally started as move more, eat less. That was like our whole thing was we got to move a lot more, we got to eat a lot less of crap, and then just try to be healthy that way. Because we always thought that there were so many products and things that people would sell you, but in reality, if you didn't do that, nothing else really mattered. With all of the things being sold, all of the programs you could follow, all of the fitness things that you could do, it was if I walk, I eat healthy, I do the basics. That's like the building blocks of what's happening. And through different health journeys on my side, like it's always been falling back to that. And then now it is very much if you don't have your health, nothing else matters. Because if you get sick, it's it's happened to me, it's happened to people in my family and friends and other stuff. You work hard, you do all this stuff, you spend all this time and money acquiring things or building status or whatever, but then you get sick. Somebody falls ill, whether it be cancer or some other thing, and or even worse. And they all always wish they had their health back, no matter what. They give up every single thing that they didn't have for their health. So it's the 2 points of always got to move more, eat healthy, approach health and wellness in a simple way to build a really strong foundation. Because if you're not healthy and you don't have your health and you're not doing those things, then nothing else matters because it truly doesn't in the end.
Yeah. No, I love that. And I think it's so true. I think there's so many people who like look for health or like happiness in all different like material things. And I think to your point, it's like none of that means anything if if you're not here to actually experience those things or have your own health to kind of like be alive. But yeah, I think also like you had your own health issues that came up, and how did those moments like shape how you approach like your career and your purpose and kind of what you've built over these years, and how did you like stay strong in those times to like move forward and be who you are today?
Yeah, so whether it be with my dad or myself, it was the level of doing what I need to do to survive and provide for people. Whether it was taking over and doing that when I was 20 years old, 21 after he passed away, or like with myself a handful of years ago, figuring out what was going on and then finding out that I was sick. And um, it was very much, it has changed how I look at acquiring money and building businesses and things. There was the level of going after the traditional startup where you want to build something massive, make all this money, acquire these things. You want to, you know, have the accolades and be the one that raised the money and built the business and sold these things. And obviously, that's changed a lot with how we operate now. We want to run bootstrap businesses, profitable businesses, ones that are fun and that aren't too crazy stressful, and that, yes, work hard and build things, but do in a way that is beneficial to us and our team and the people around us and what we want to do and kind of build and construct the life that we want. Because I don't want to, going to raise all of this money, build all these things, do all these things. If it's not benefiting me and my family and my friends and people around us, there's no reason to do it. So it really changed the outlook of what types of businesses we want to run, how we approach our businesses. And then the other part of it was on our last office, there was a big mural that said the right thing is always the right thing. And it was like, we know whether it's the thing we're building, the person we're working with, the way we build our companies, we know what the right thing is. It's why we approached our way on advertising the way that we do, or we, say no to certain things in partnerships, or don't, sell out a lot of the time and leave a lot of money on the table as compared to other people that have similar businesses to us. That is because what's the point? We're doing what we want to do. We're making the money we want to make. Everybody's happy. There's no point in like selling out for an extra amount of this, or, selling out of who we are and what we want to build, or the product and the quality of what we do for extra cash or whatever that reason is. So that method and approach has changed a lot from when before I got sick, which was, you know, build a $1 billion company, do all this stuff, raise all this money. It was all of these things that you wanted to do, but my approach definitely changed there.
Something you do with all your businesses and all your endeavors is your authenticity that you bring. So you bring the authenticity and then also that your consistency with what you do. So we were curious too about bringing that consistency into your daily routine. Are there any non-negotiables you feel like that you have every day that keep you consistent with that approach? Like, for example, the approach of the right thing is always the right thing. What grounds you daily? Are there any routine or rituals?
Yeah, for me, it's walking through all the different treatments and being sick and everything. It was hard to train, but walked all the time. My goal was always to get 15, 20,000 steps, be outside as much as humanly possible. A lot of time not be in front of my screen. So take calls walking, try to not be on Zooms, things like that when I could avoid it. So that's one. The other one, just with the way that my health has gone and the types of things that I had, follow a certain diet. So not because it's the right diet for everybody or whatever else, but for what I have and what I'm doing, follow a specific, you know, very strict ketogenic diet. And, for whatever reason that is, it's more health stuff, but like following that very specifically, making sure that I'm being active and walking, and then working out with friends. I'm always training with buddies and my brother, and we're going on walks, we're doing stuff like being super social around the health and wellness side, even if it's going to play pickleball or we're going for a hike, just always trying to be active, but also maintain the social wellness side of things, make sure I'm around people, make sure I'm happy and I'm with friends and I'm doing stuff, but do it in a fun way. So like I have a group of guys that get together with a few times a week. We train. Joe and I go, we work out together, we walk, he just had a son not too long ago, so all three of us will go walk handful of times a week. So it's like always being active that way. And then outside of that, just a super strict method of what supplements and things that are recommended by the doctor that I have, and it's in mostly momentous products. I love the team there and what they do. So I have the things that I take that way, very specific diet, and that's it. Like I don't have any wearables. I don't track any things that I'm doing outside of steps. I have like an old school pedometer that I wear because I don't want to have like something on my wrist with notifications or tracking, or have something tell me that I slept bad the night before or anything like that. So I go super old school on tracking, just try to move more, be with people and be active that way, and then just keep the diet in check as much as I can for the overall health stuff.
Yeah, this is why we were so excited to talk to you because your approach sounds so similar to what we talk about at Core and what we send out. But you touched on a lot of like personalized nutrition, the in-person fitness, and so we also wanted to talk about just the trends in the industry. So I know you did a recent collaboration with Able Partners, which is an early stage consumer investment fund focused on health and wellness. So are there trends that you see? I mean, you talked about that there are these basics that you stick to. So, but there is a rise in the talk about personalized nutrition, in-person fitness, and supplements specifically. So are there trends that you've identified or just ones that you're specifically excited about that you see coming up in the future?
Yeah, I mean, you called out the wellness forecast that we did with Able, but obviously there's the concept of longevity.
Hmm.
Do we know what that means? No. It's kind of a buzzword. It could be a lot of different stuff. We look at it as taking a long-term approach to your health, and what things can you do to proactively and have preventative care, proactively like approach your health and then have preventative care. And that's, whether it be your doctor, your scans, your info, people are using function now, they're using superpower, they're tracking certain things to make sure that they're They're catching things early. They're going to get Prenuvo scans, all those things. I think that continually mixing this wellness longevity with your actual healthcare. So I want to be able to know what's going on, find what's going on, then have health outcomes. So that's a big part of it is how do I actually, and that goes back to the supplements too. Like I think the actual trend is how do I prove that any of this is working for any reason? People are spending so much time and money on fitness, supplements, products, wellness. How do I track that back to health and healthcare and then actually have a health outcome and know that it's working? I took this supplement, I did this thing, I tracked my stuff. I know that my blood pressure's down, my, mental health is better. I know that my um fitness is better. If you're training for things, I'm stronger, I'm faster, whatever. So that is a big portion of what we see coming is like like today, Grooms just announced that they raised $35 million dollars or something like that in a $500 million valuation.
Yeah.
Does taking that actually work? They're doing clinical research. AG1 just came out that they're doing some research and clinical studies. But as a person, can I track that that actually helps me or not? So what does that look like? And then the next piece of it is really going to be the integration of wellness is everything. There's so much to be built around. We know that we need to walk and run and be at workout and eat healthy. But, for me, especially with what I've seen on my health stuff, I went through the whole phase of like glass bottles, cans, not using plastic. What things am I drinking? What am I doing? Because that's a big part of wellness to me. Can that in some way prevent certain illnesses and sicknesses, and can that help me be healthier? And I think there's so much the products we use with our laundry, the type of material we wear from our clothing, like all of that is wellness now, and that's a space I'm super excited about. And then the last piece is really the social side. You're seeing we just wrote about wellness forward spaces and activities and run clubs and all that, like making fitness fun and accessible socially. I think there's a massive business there. A lot right now, it's not as much like a lot of these run clubs and other places and groups. It's not like they're massive businesses. They're cool, they're doing well, but I think there's another layer of making them successful businesses and scaling them up.
Yeah, that's great. And I kind of have 2 points based off of that. One, yes, it's exciting that there's so many opportunities in the wellness space, but then how do you bring it back to the simplistic approach that you talked about, that is just health and walking and basic things that you put into your body and nutrition. And that kind of also goes into you're an investor and an entrepreneur in the space. You're investing in young entrepreneurs that are trying to build new companies, but you're also an advocate for not spending a bunch of money on your health, and keeping it to those simple things. So how do you reconcile that? How would you talk about like that tension that obviously is there, but at the same time it is such an attractive opportunity in the wellness space? Do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's why we have not previously invested and gotten behind a lot of like supplements and other things that we don't see as needed. Goes back to the simplicity of, or at least how we look at things. Are they good businesses?
Mhm.
Are they actually needed and helpful in any way? And then can we have an impact on that business? Can we, as founders and builders and with our system and ecosystem we have, like, can we help them? Do we believe in what they're doing? Do we want to make it work? So like one business we backed is called Movement, and it's a race registration platform. And we really like them because the founder was cool, had a ton of experience building something unique in a kind of outdated space, but more importantly, it's ideally making runs, races, meetups, run groups, activities, all these things easier, cheaper, and better to run. So it's like that's a huge win for us. We want people to do that. Um, or one that we did was Recover Athletics that sold to Strava. It was one of our first angel investments back in the day. So it made perfect sense. It's like prehab and rehab for running and getting people moving, and proper movement makes a ton of sense. Founders were cool. It's a good business. Obviously, what it was, successful, it sold to Strava, but stuff like that where we like the founders, we like what they're building, and we want another one, Bird and Bee, fertility products, supplements, testing, um, guidance, community around fertility products for now men and women. Sam's the founder of that. She's also out of, I forget where she's based. She's out of Canada, but um,
Yeah.
huge issue for a lot of people. Not what you traditionally would say wellness, but it's health overall.
Yeah.
And she was her and her co-founder, one of them was a doctor. They had a ton of experience in the space and they had personal struggles and they were building like how can we build a proven product and system and thing that helps people understand, test, and supplement to have better outcomes when it comes to fertility. Amazing company. So it's just stuff like that. Taking our time to both, is this a good business? Do we think it can make money? Do we believe in the founders? But then is it also something we are proud to back?
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. And then on the flip side, another question we were going to talk about is where do you think consumers should be spending their money? I like what you said about building your own health ecosystem. So maybe the consumer is doing personal reflection, but should they be spending on the gummies, on the supplements? But how would you advise consumers then about how to build their own health ecosystem?
It's a weird time because there's a large portion of consumers that are would even be considered like prosumers. They know the fitness industry, they know the space, they know what they're doing. And that's, I think a lot of people get distracted by that. And people like myself, or probably even you guys or others, like we think that's who the consumer is. But then you meet an average person, like I live in Pittsburgh, don't live in New York, don't live in LA. You go up to an average person, they don't know any of this stuff. And
Yeah.
they know a few buzzwords, they know a few random things, they've heard a few ads, seen a few things, but like they don't understand a large portion of what being healthy means, how they eat, what they do, how they move. Obviously, the stats, no matter how much money is getting spent on health and wellness right now, people are overweight, they're unhealthy, they're sick, they're not doing well. So I think there's a large portion of the general consumer that doesn't need to buy anything,
Mhm.
doesn't need to do anything. They need to move more, they need to eat less, they need to build a social and active lifestyle that's healthy, and then they could do all the other stuff. So it's a very conflicting thing for me because I think, and like I said, I've owned gyms I've owned gyms in Ohio and Pennsylvania and other places, and I've seen that consumer and them getting sold thing after thing when they're also not tracking their calories and they're not working out that much and they're not walking and they're buying certain supplements and products and things that have garbage in them or might not even have, we covered it not too long ago, but like some supplements don't have any of the stuff that they say is in there.
Yeah.
It's like what brands can you trust? So they're spending time and money, but they're not seeing the health outcome that I originally talked about. So for them, it's like move more, eat less, be healthy. I don't think they need to buy anything for a while. There's like a certain level that I would recommend it after you start being healthy.
I think one other question, just going off of what you were talking about, I thought it was interesting how you were saying how you have your own specific kind of like diet that is tied to kind of your own medical needs. And that's just like such an important like space that we're going to. It's just kind of like personal health and wellness and like, talking about how you're interested in the intersection of like health and wellness and like affordable healthcare. And I think that just as we learn about like personal health and wellness and how it's different for everybody and how that affects like just on a biological level everybody in a different way, like I think that the function health is such a important way to go about kind of understanding yourself and what you need personally, but that is expensive. And so I was just like curious to get your thoughts on kind of if there's going to be, if we think that like in 5, 10 years from now there's going to be a world where people do have that access to take tests that cost a couple $100 that not everybody has the means to afford, but to have that understanding of like their own personal makeup and their own biology and like what they need to kind of address their own personal needs in a way that's affordable for everybody. And just kind of like curious to get your thoughts on that space and kind of where we're going.
Yeah, I mean that's the holy grail is taking, and that's where you're seeing it now, where it's going consumer first. It's validated. It is expensive in a lot of areas. It is unattainable. But the idea and the goal is because it is not healthcare driven, where it's healthcare dollars that are restricted, it's consumer, it becomes the kind of free market competitive nature and you lower prices, more accessible, more available at scale is the goal. And giving consumers the power and knowledge in their pocket to understand what's wrong with them and how to address it, and then connecting that to health and wellness and healthcare to where it is going to your doctor and other things. Ideally, these businesses that are getting funding and growing and doing it, there's so much money and there's so much competition that as they grow and scale, that price comes down. I mean, that's
Yeah.
the goal. If that happens, we'll see. But that's what I think everybody, at least from my position, it's what I want to see happen. It's what everybody wants to see happen. And it's important as well to come from the consumer angle because it goes back to the informed consumer. We need to market to them and sell them and inform them on all of this stuff because they just don't know.
Yeah.
So how do we do that and spend the money and the time? And how do you make these things better experiences? Because the doctor experience a lot of times sucks. So how do we make it better experiences? How do we make them more informed? How do we make more people know about it? Like Function is spending their time and money on running ads and scaling and branding, and they have hundreds of thousands of followers and they're getting to all these people. How does that wave of information and access spawn the next thing and the next thing and the next thing? So yeah, it's very much if that angle works and then it continues to scale, more and more businesses come and operate in that space because they see potential, becomes more competitive, prices go down, access goes up, and then it continues to connect to the actual doctor and healthcare. And then there's a way that you could either eventually direct your healthcare spend to these consumer options as well and making them available through your healthcare and or just making it such an affordable thing that more people can do it.
Can you clarify too on your view on the measurability of health? So you don't wear trackers and stuff, but this function you're in support of function, so they also measure it's tracking at the same time. But is there a difference that you distinguish between the two?
Full function health is blood tests.
Blood tests. Okay, so not versus
Yeah, I mean, I don't care if for me, I don't,
yeah,
and I
yeah.
guess somewhat because of my experience, but like, I don't need to know certain recovery metrics and things because I'm not training for anything specific. I'm just trying to be healthy. And I get somewhat obsessive, so I don't want to, wear an Oura or Whoop and know that I slept bad because of stress. And this, it's like, I know, I feel it. I know my body.
Mhm.
Um, and I'm just on a base level of health. But for my actual health care and health, I need to know. And I don't use Function anymore. I've used them a handful of times. I just go to my doctor now. I
Mhm.
have like a specific doctor, but like I get my blood test. I know my hormones. I know my glucose. I like all of that is important for what I do. So, and that's what Function Health is. It's quarterly or biannual blood tests. Or Superpower, you can go and sign up and have a concierge doctor, and then you can go get certain blood tests done that way. Or you join a Monarch Health, or you join another place that has these accessible things, or you join Transcend and other places that have certain tests and then prescriptions that come from them. It's the health approach of I need to know what is going on, or like, there's comments on if it's good or not, but like a Prenuvo, like I'm going to go in a couple weeks and go get a full Prenuvo scan of like everything that's wrong with me to find any tumors or any issues or in whatever. That's what I'm interested in personally versus my recovery score or my strain score or whatever training score or thing that I have. That's not as important to me. I want to make sure I'm getting my steps in and walking, and I want to make sure so that I'm active, and I want to make sure that I'm eating healthy on the right diet. Like I'm not tracking calories because I don't really need to be in a calorie deficit. I just need to be average, and I need them. It's more of what I'm consuming and how I'm consuming it and when I'm consuming it. And then am I being active overall? And then what is my actual health telling me from my biomarkers and my actual diagnostics than it is like my fitness.
Yeah. Thank you for that clarification because I think you just outlined your personalized approach to your health and wellness and like your own little ecosystem. So you clearly have your priorities, and that's how you get through all the noise of everything out there. So I think that's something that everyone can benefit from.
Like, is there anybody that you follow or things that you read or listen that keeps you informed or like inspired in the space, like consistently or
Besides
is
Fitt Insider, you can't do an ad for Fitt Insider.
Yeah, no, so it's funny now. Our internal team is so good at sourcing in data and information. Honestly, our Slack channel is insane. Our news and information and like content Slack channel, it doesn't go out to the world. It's what we see internally.
Can we get in on
That's
it?
all
yeah.
that we're trying to figure out. We're honestly trying to figure out how to like make it a part of a membership or something because it's so crazy. And that is, yes, I follow Atia and I follow Huberman and I listen to podcasts and I stay up to date on a lot of that stuff, but it's not daily. But for me, it's just keeping up with the Slack channel and seeing like, because they'll share all of that as well. It's hundreds of pieces a week. So that's every source you could ever think of just given to me in Slack. So that's how I pay attention. So that's cheating. But I love Peter Tia, his podcast. I listen to human podcasts. Sometimes it's a lot, so I can't always listen to it. A lot of times it's the clips, and that's really it.
That sounds like
I love that.
Kayla, our group chat back and forth throughout the week. It's like, sorry for the
I
spam,
know.
but it's a
I know.
good way to share information.
It's so true. Like I wish that my Slack was every time it down, it was like a something in the health and wellness space. So that, that's helpful. That's awesome. And then the other question that we had, like, what's a current interest or trend that you're particularly focused on right now? I know you kind of like focus a lot on just kind of like the basics and kind of what you consistently like stick to, but are there any like current trends that you're really interested in or integrating into your routine?
Interested in overall is the fertility like space, both men and women. What products, things, just my age and friends and family and people and seeing struggles and what's going on, paying super close attention to that and just the implications of that. And then the other side is the environmental impact, mold and products and air and water and all of that stuff. So both of those are areas personally where I'm interested in investing, spending time in understanding and just like paying attention to.
I like those. That's awesome.
Our final question is, who do you nominate to share their wellness journey with us next?
Oh man. Uh, Actually, my friend Heather, she works in she's launching her own PR agency in the health and wellness space. She was previously president of Jack Taylor, which is a large PR firm in health and wellness, and now she is starting her own thing. So she could be someone great to talk to.